DJ Solstice back with not a gig log! No. Today, my friends, Rick Webb has sent me some lights. Yes, that's right. Rick Webb has sent me a package of both lights. So he hit me up, asked if I wanted to review them on my channel, try them out, see what the buzz is all about, see if I liked them, and I said, of course. And so here we are. They're in this box. I opted for the IR-4s, which are the new Ape Lab knockoff ones with the screen that everybody's been raving about. So I will check them out myself and let you know what I think about them. So, soft case right here. There's 4 lights in here. Let's open it up. It's the cutest little thing ever, I know. All 4 units are right there. On this side, you got your charging cords. Looks like a, don't know what's in here, maybe mounting bracket or something. Oh, magnet mounts. That's kind of cool. 4 magnet mounts. So you can actually magnetically mount them. That is pretty cool. On this side, you got all your remotes. So, standard remote. All your essential buttons right there. Red, green, blue, strobe, etc. So there's a remote for each light and 2 more charging cords. So, let's pop the plastic out of that one. Let's take this bad boy out and see. Got the white housing. So, of course, that's the on button. It'll start up. Looks like it is on color mode. So, as you seek through the menu, color, jump, fade, music mode, app, and then manual color mixing, where you can set the value of red, green, blue, etc. So, and then DMX, and then master slave. So, let's go to some colors. So there's your typical 32 colors, same as some of the lights I have. Hopefully I didn't blind you all right there. There's jump mode, which looks like that. Pretty self-explanatory. You can adjust the speed. That's speed 1. That's speed 9. Slow to fast. Fade. There's different fades and then speed. Just like that. And there is music mode. There's a few music modes. There's a strobe one too. There's another strobe one. There's colors. And there's just colors. After that, you get into app mode. You can actually use the phone app for that. And then manual color mixing. And then of course there is master slave and DMX. So when they come out of the box, we'll put them on, let's just put them on a color mode, 29. You can use the remote as well. So there's color mixing. It looks like you can mix different colors, go up and down on the colors, which is pretty cool. There's the sound mode. So the remote is very versatile. And being that they are Chinese unit, they do come master slave with no DMX signal. So this happens with mine, it might happen with yours. If there is no master detected, or if there's no DMX signal detected, they'll go default into master slave mode. So as I turn this one on, you'll see in a second, it'll link up just like that. So let's hide this one. And yeah, they're all synced up. Do they say synced in sound mode? No, you're not. So in sound mode, they are independent, just like most of the Chinese lights. So as you can see, even though this is in sound mode 1, now they're both in sound mode 1, they do their own thing. If you go back to the colors, of course, they're back to the colors. If you see if we strobe, looks like strobes they do, no, even then, it's not synced. So as I slow the speed down on this one is still, as you can see. So that's kind of a bummer. but also kind of expected. It is an IR remote, not an RF remote, so you have to point it at them and it will respond in that way, but it doesn't have master to slave program-wise. So it will, though, as I mentioned before, even if this one is out on, I'm gonna go put this on the other side of the room. Be right back. So that one's on the other side of the room. Let's see if changing this will change that. And no, it does not. So it does not change with the remote, even though that one is slave to this one. It looks like it is no longer in sync. So that's kind of a disappointment. Even though this is the master. Let's try another one. But I mean, this is to be expected. You shouldn't be running these as auto in any of the auto default modes. You should be DMXing them, or if you're gonna leave them on static, that's perfectly fine too. As mentioned before, if you do go into an auto program, they do look like they stay synced on that. For some reason though, we will go back to a regular color. Yeah, it is by remote. So in the programs, as you change one, the other one may not change. Let's see. Yeah, so it does not, unfortunately, does not sync in that sense. It will sync with colors. So as I mentioned before, if you have the colors sync like that, and we turn the sub on, looks like it's having trouble with that too. So that's kind of unfortunate. Master slave doesn't seem to work as well as I thought. But either way, I wouldn't be using them in that situation anyway. To those who have figured that out, great, good for you. This just doesn't seem to want to do that. Let's try it again, turn that on. Doesn't seem to recognize that it shouldn't be the, oh, I think you do have to turn master off. Let's try that. Let's try turning master off on this. Master off. Now let's see, will it? There we go, okay. So, my apologies. They do work like that. Hey, good troubleshooting right there. You do have to turn master off if you want it to do anything on the subunit. So as you can see, we can strobe them, we can auto jump, and they stay synced. We'll try to put this on the other side of the building and see if it does recognize just like that, which hopefully it does. I'm gonna put the other one out of auto mode, or out of master, just like we did that one. And yes, it does. So, very cool. I take that back, maybe not. I'm still having issues with that. It seems that bear with me here. You've got to keep them on DMX channel 1 to get it to sync, it seems. Yes, that is the key. So you want to keep them, the slaves, on DMX channel 1, and that way no matter what I do with this one, even if I'm just pointing right at here, the other ones are reacting because they are receiving the wireless signal. So, great point right there. So yeah, I could see you using one right by your DJ table and then having some throughout the room and just using the remote for a cool light show. Now, you know I wouldn't do that. However, I could see using these just as a rental, deployment, things like that. They are kind of cool, you know, they're nice, slim, they're very small. They are pretty bright. I will do a brightness comparison to mine, which are similar to the 6s maybe, I think he calls them. Yeah, they seem to sync up pretty nicely. That's cool. We can do a color fade and slow the speed down. Very cool, like that. You can do the pulse. You can do auto. You can do a sound mode. And they do. Okay, so they do stay synced on sound mode now. So pretty typical of your standard Chinese uplight. You have one master. If you set the others as slave correctly, everything will work perfectly. Like I said, set it to DMX channel 1, and then it will respond with that signal. So that's pretty much that. They're cool little lights. I like this housing. I do like that it's lightweight. You can use them as a floodlight. Are the brackets strong? They are strong enough. Strong enough right there. So you can use them as a floodlight, as a wash uplight. So they're very versatile. Hey! They do respond well to sound. And I could definitely see myself maybe using these. Now, the real test is how to DMX them. But before we do that, I do want to compare these to, as you can see there, I want to compare them to my other uplights. So I'm going to grab those. I'll be right back. So these are my uplights. I will not tell you where I got them from because I don't like revealing that information, but shoot me a DM and I'll be happy to tell you. Now, these, they are automatically on DMX mode, but I'm going to switch them to color. As you can see, size comparison, much bulkier. Much bulkier. And battery life on this, as stated in the manual, seems to be pretty strong. I haven't had a chance to test it, but the manual that it comes with does say that on single color it can last up to 12 hours. Pretty amazing. What I am going to do, however, is show you, just in manual colors, the brightness difference. So you may not be able to tell pretty well. This is my uplight. This is the both uplight. Mine, both. Mine, both. Disregard my big nose. Mine, both. Mine, both. So I do believe mine is slightly brighter, which is to be expected. It's a 6x18, so you can see there's 6 diodes in here versus just the 4 here. This is a 4x12 and this is a 6x18. They're both 25 degrees. I actually just received lenses for mine to make them 45 degrees, so they have the same wider upward beam angle. But I will say, honestly, it's a nice size. It's much smaller and smaller form factor than this for sure, way lighter, and probably about the same brightness. This one's a little brighter, like I said. Let's change it to a different color. So conveniently, the color scrolling is about the same. This is blue. I don't know, you be the judge. I definitely think mine is definitely brighter, as you could tell on the backdrop there. Yeah, these are brighter, but really only slightly. If I put them on the ground, we're gonna put them in, let's just put them in white mode, which on both of them is channel 4. That's mine right there. That's the both light there. You be the judge. You be the judge. Mine is over here. The both light is to my, whichever side you're looking at, to my left, your right. So this is the both lighting, and this is mine. You be the judge. I think I'm gonna step back and check for myself. So you can really tell when it's on the wall. Obviously, as clear as day here in the video, mine is significantly brighter. Now I'm gonna change a few colors and we'll see again. There's amber. I'm gonna put amber on this. So yeah, it's noticeable. It's a much more concentrated color and a bit brighter with my light versus the both light. Put this inside so you can see a little better. But as you can tell, it's really not that big of a difference. Let's put this in green once again. I don't know if I did it in green before, but I'll show you in green on the wall. Mine is color 2. They're pretty close. They are pretty close. So it just goes to show you really wattage doesn't matter all that much. If you look up at the top of where I'm filming, kind of see they're about the same. And back here, more or less the same. So pretty impressive. They are bright. Let's try on red. I'm not sure. You be the judge. There's definitely a difference, but very slightly. So anyway, that is a broad review so far. Now is the fun part where I'm going to show you a bit about Freestyler. And now that we have some of the lights off, maybe you'll be able to tell a bit of a difference. Let's turn the studio lights off. So again, as you could tell, it's really not a huge difference. There's blue. There's blue. As you could tell, yeah, it's the one on the left does have a bit of a hot spot in the center because it does have that center diode as well. So I think once I change the beam angle, you can see it's a little stronger and travels a little farther on the left, but I'm pretty impressed. It takes a lot to impress me. You all should know that. Now, will I swap out every single one of my uplights for these? No, of course not. Because I've spent way too much time and way too much money in the uplights I have. But had these been released any sooner, hey, all you DJs out there, these are great looking uplights. They're not super cheap, but not super expensive. I think it's about $550 for a set of 4. So doing the math, they're about $137 a piece. Now my uplights themselves were $140 a piece with a flight case shipped. I have a great supplier, so that's the price I pay. So more or less same price. A lot of the functionality, great battery life, and they're small. So will I invest in some more of these? I don't know, time will tell. I just finished all my lighting upgrades, so maybe next year. However, my uplights, there's nothing wrong with them right now. I like them, they work. Now let's get this connected to Freestyler and show you a bit about Freestyler. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Freestyler. As you can tell, it is late at night tonight because I did have this all screen captured and recorded. However, the screen capture software I was using, which was Microsoft's own, decided to not show some of the windows that were popped up and such. So instead, you're going to get a live overlay with a live look at the software. So this is Freestyler. This is my workspace. This is my general welcome screen, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, I have everything laid out left and right. It's just the way I do it because the way that some of the chases are and some of the buttons and presets, I just like to have them on 2 different sides. So all of my fixtures are labeled on the actual lights and in the software itself. Just because there's only 6 on each side here, we do actually have a total of, I think, actually 18 of our box lights. So we use 6 for our smaller shows with the 2 lines of 3 and 12 for our bigger shows. And then we have the other 6, which are in white if we want to do an all white package. In the middle here, we have those hex lights, which you will see in some future gig logs. And down at the bottom, we have our uplights. I have 20 here. We do have a total of 30 uplights. So if we need to use 30, then we can add. What I usually do is group them in. So 2 in the 1 space, 2 in the 2 space, etc. So it just kind of looks cool. Tube lights over here. Sparks are right here, the cold sparks, blinders, atomic LED strobes, and pixel bars. The mini deckers are actually missing right now because we have removed them for the purposes of demonstration in this video, and we don't really use them anymore. Down here is a fire machine. Maybe I'll insert a clip of that. That is a rarely used fixture that we have, but it is very cool. It's actually not cool, it's very hot. Anyway, moving right along. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to start by showing you how to add a fixture, and then I'm kind of going to go over some of the key features in the software and some other things, broad overview, and so on. So we're going to pretend we're going to add, and not actually pretend, we're actually going to do it, add the both light. So when you go to fixture, add, remove, a lot of these brands may not be here. That's because some of these are custom files from the fixture profile creator, fixture creator, which we will actually pull up now. I will show you in just a second. So we will do, which I cannot spell apparently, right there. So you'd go in here. I'm just going to pull up the both lighting, IR-4, which is already in here. And this is what the fixture creator looks like. So you have your manufacturer fixture name, little picture over there, and you go down here, color channel, red, green, blue, amber, white, etc. These are for moving heads down here, iris, focus, frost, prism, strobe, shutter, dimmer, intensity, all that good stuff. Total channels are right here. Channel description, this is where you insert the description for each channel, and you can default it to whatever you want to default for. There's also macros and custom sliders. I'm not going to get into that. But once you have something in here, you export it, save it, and then it will show up in the software. So back into here, we'll add and remove the fixture. So we'll find the both lighting, and we'll just add it to start at row 2. One fixture. If you add more than one, it will auto create a group, which we're not going to do. And DMX start address, we'll make it 2. Just because I have space here. You can also rename it. Hit close. Now you see it right here. Right click, move fixtures. We'll move it front and center just for you guys. Now, as you click on a fixture, you'll see the channel values pop up on the right. So here is all the channel values you just inserted. So channel 1, dimmer, 2, red, green, blue, so on and so forth. Same applies with all the other lights. There's your values for the tube lights, cold sparks, pretty simple, spray and function, blinders, and it'll show you how many channels there are right there. On the left are your groups. You can actually select all of the fixtures by simply clicking on one of these groups. And it will add up too. So you could keep clicking, more will be selected. And to select off, just click anywhere else. So uplights, as you can see here. I leave everything on red at 100% dimmer if I can. Stuff like the blinders and the atomic LEDs are just defaulted to 0, obviously. And once you get what startup values you want, you go to edit, save as startup values, and that just helps you for when you have your dongles all plugged in and your lights all wired. This helps to tell which are working and which are not. So if they turn on and go instantly into red, that means you're good to go. That's kind of where we rock it from there. So as you can see, groups are down here. There's also an S2L group, which selects all of the fixtures and allows them to kind of sync with the press of one button. And you could change all of the colors to a random color combo for all of those fixtures. So I will show you that. So simple. I have it set up so that the spacebar will change all of the fixtures like that. Pretty nifty. The colors here don't always work. So sometimes you won't actually see it as blue. You may see it as an odd color, but they do. They're supposed to change live. If you ever see this, that means that you started it. It's basically an, I don't know what you want to call it, a release override. So you click this, it'll go back to what it was. I have a preset already set up on the number pad. Press this plus key, which will do that as well. So anytime you get into like the space bar or you start one of the programs like that, you'll start to see that button. So we're going to close and reopen just to show you how it starts up. And so that we don't see that error message. It's not really an error message, but when you press the space bar, you're entering into a what they call kind of like a sound to light program, which helps optimize. Also disregard that. I just don't have the DMX connector in right now. So as you can see, as you change this live, the color will change. We'll bring that back. Now, going through some things here. Up at the top, this is your sequence creator. This is how you create scenes and do different DMX values, etc. Cues are all right here. I use these as my chases. So as you can see, we have fade out, fade in, up, strobes, LED dims, LED chases, fade chases, reset dimmer, which will bring it all back. They all default to a set speed of 100. I actually have custom values for all of these, which apply to some of the shortcuts that I have preset onto my keyboard and how I trigger the different scenes. So usually this one's at 100, this is at 45, 10, or 100, 45, so on and so forth. Not going to bore you with all that. But you could change the speeds. You can also do something like loop it, reverse it, random, restore. So for things like this is a looped sequence. For some of these down here, I believe this one, LED chase here, this is reversed, so it goes 10 to 1 instead of 1 to 10. You can restore values when the sequence stops. You can have random steps. You can react to sound, disable tap trigger, ignore master speed, etc. There's a lot you can do. You can edit the sequence, which is I'll show you in a few moments, which will take you to the DMX program editor, things like that. More importantly are your overrides down here. So this is your override panel. These are simple. You click and an override happens. So basically I have blackout right, and as you can see, things change, 0%. Fast program speed, medium, slow fade. That's kind of a slow fade between everything, side to side with no chase. Crazy color change, UV, cold sparks, cycle, a bunch of different things. My strobes are up here. My strobes with just color are down here. Some different chases, some pulse scenes, some single color flash, white flash, blinders, sound active, which is kind of like if you need to go to the bathroom, you can click that and your lights will respond to the bass, but not all synchronized unless you do it properly. So that's kind of a little shortcut button. Moving on is our colors and effects. So here's where I have champagne, teal, different room presets, as well as some of the strobes too. You can go from one page to the other by pressing tab or whatever shortcut you have. What's cool about these is certain buttons like this is what they call just a regular button. And then other ones like your sparks is a flash button, which means you hold it and it will do that. You can also disable other buttons. So if you have a bunch of different chases that do different speeds, instead of, as you can see, I have it disabled. If you didn't have it disabled, when you click that, it'll go to the last one that you click, but as you see, you have to take off both. So we usually disable all other buttons. There are different strobe speeds here, as mentioned, and these are all holds. There's other stuff you can do here, show on all pages, snap it, fade out, start, modify speed, all sorts of crazy cool stuff. I tend to not use too many of those things. I just set the speeds myself and then just rock with it. You can also do snap fade ins and fade outs, etc. once you get into actual programming, which I'll show you in a second. Colors and effects, all that good stuff. So before we get into showing you the programming side, just some menu overviews right over here. You have your backup restore under file. That'll give you a show file that you're able to restore if you need to. There's groups, backgrounds, move fixtures. But more importantly is your Freestyler setup. So if you go here, you can set up your interface. We have the OpenDMX. We do have the DMX Pro we use for bigger shows, multiple universes, external control, keyboard shortcuts. Now this is where you use your computer keyboard to trigger everything. So this is where you set up all your presets. So A is blackout all. There's all sorts of different things in here that you can open. You can trigger to open, you could trigger smoke, you can do different scenes, all sorts of different stuff. Select groups, next group, blackout groups, I have some of those. Disable overrides, sequences. Sequences are all of these right here. So I have most of those set to the number pad as well as different numbers, just because that's the way I like it laid out. You can start and stop sequences, override buttons right here, override tabs going between the pages. So those are all of these buttons right here for overrides. You can only do up to 32. So after you get to these 32, you have to go to a second page and there is no more shortcuts after that. So you are kind of limited to 32 plus your scenes in here, but there are stuff that you can do. As mentioned, sound to light triggers space. Pause it is control if you want to be stuck on a specific color that you like. Submaster run. I don't do submasters really. There's cue lists. What else is down here? Release overrides, etc. So that's all keyboard control. You can do MIDI control as well. Adjust the touchscreen, get the NTEC wings. I don't really do too much into that. There's some preferences, colors, corrections, pan, tilt, resize, zones, all that good stuff. You don't really need to worry too much about that. Up here, as mentioned, are those two. Then you get submasters, sound to light, fogger control, DMX, toggle. You can freeze everything if you want, toggle blackout, toggle favorite, run commands, all that stuff. Some of these over here are specific to a certain light. So if you select something like this, color wheel opens up and dimmer intensity. So you can go down dimmer on everything. Intensity. Well, that might be strobe rate actually. That is strobe rate. I don't really use these. I just use the values over on the right, those sliders. Color wheel right here. You can select and go into medium, select from this kind of palette, basic, and then even cooler, there's preset colors all right here. Some of them are cool, some are not. Do with it as you will. I believe all of them are just RGB. Even the full, I don't think will actually change some of the other values. No. But you can go in and add for your hex colors to make them look just how you'd like them. So now, moving on. We are going to show you, let's say you want to, I'll just show you in general, get rid of this, how I would do something like UV. So we're just going to go into edit button. What this brings up is what you would do if you clicked here. So over here you have your steps, your fades, your speeds, etc. You don't really need to change any of these, which you would do by pressing these buttons. If you're just doing a quick one-shot button, that is more for in between steps. So you don't need that really if you are just doing this, because it's going to be a flash button. So anything with a star means that it will be affected when you press that button. Anything without a star, it won't be. So I'm just going to show you just from scratch how I would do. Let's just say you want to make your uplights all white. Let's just say that. So you go into there, create a new scene, select your uplights. Those are the box lights. Select your uplights, and over here, this will show you the channels and whether or not they're going to be applied. Now, a negative means nothing is going to be applied on that channel, so no override will override any value. So dimmer would remain the same. If they're all the way down, it would stay down. If they're all the way up, it would stay up. If you go here, this is fade. This is a snap. This is a ramp up, ramp down, and then not applicable. So let's say you want a button that makes all your uplights go white at 100% and you want it to snap right there. You'd put your dimmer up, and then we'll just make this a pure all white. So you could just do this and do that and say, okay, good, I'm done. However, if you're on a different color and you do that, the only thing it's going to do is add 255 full value of white and a dimmer of 100%. If you want just the white, what you're going to have to do is go in and take these values all off. Bring them down to 0. Now, I like to do the sliders like this, where I don't just double click here, because there could be a value in there on one of the fixtures and it may not show up. So this ensures that all of them get down to 0. Bring that, bring that, bring that, bring that, bring that. Now, the other thing is, if it's strobing, do you want it to still strobe in that? Yes, so we're just going to leave that off. And I like to keep program and speed also, because basically that will take off any sort of fade pattern or speed that you have already in there. So got that. Then you would save it. You would title it, white, say test. And we will say click save. And then what you would do there, after that's done, you go in here, find that at the bottom, white test. Pop it in here. Close out of that, close out of that. Now when you click it, there you go. See right there? They all turn white. It's that simple. But it's not, because it's very complicated once you get into more trickier things. So of course, you can, that's just a generic basic program. When you get into stuff like the hex lights, there's programs and speeds, color mixing, cobs, etc. I'm not going to get too much into that right now. But that's pretty much how you would program. Now, if you want to do something a little more complicated, say like, you know, up, 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 for example, this is what you call a sequence. Now, there's 9 steps here. First step, you would set just as you did before with the overrides, but the difference here, since this is a snap, it wouldn't really change too much here. You basically want step 1, box light 1 or 4 at 100%. I have my uplights not apply when we use this. So, because I don't want the uplights to apply, I have to bring them down to 0. I want them to be blacked out. Tubes are also at 100. So up, up, up can do some really cool stuff with the tubes also. Step 2. Oh, even better. Oh, I was on tube 2. Okay, step 1, 2, 3. Now it repeats 1, 2, 3. So again, all you would do is get whatever steps you want. And I have this down to a 500, 500, 500, which is pretty quick. You can also go even lower than that, down to 100, I believe. And then you save it the same way and add it into here. And because it starts at 100, if you want that up, up, up to be super fast, you just click that. And as you can see, boom. Just like that. Now something a little trickier, if you want like a dims, so I'll show you how this works. This kind of dims in and out. So as you can see, the dimmer is dimming right there. What else can I show you? For the blinder, there's another good one. I have everything set to be blacked out. So again, you have to go in, change the programs for all those, change the dimmers. And then the only thing is I have this set for my blinders to do something cool. So as you can see right there, warm white at 100, dimmer at 100. The hex lights are not set up for that. Step 2 though is a slow fade. So as you can see how slow that just loaded? So step 1, nice and quick. Step 2, slow. So what that is going to do is make the blinders all flash at once and then slowly fade down. So it's a really cool effect. You may have seen it in some of my past gig logs. I don't use the blinders as much as I want to, but now that we have the hex lights, those have their own blinders built in, and we will be using some really cool stuff with those. So be on the lookout. Those will be pretty cool too. I actually think that, I think I already do have that programmed in, so I'll have to show you that when I get to it. I believe we will show you. Let's see. Yeah. So there you go. Dimmer down to 0. Step 1. Step 1 that actually should be 100%. So we will go in and modify that at a later time once I have those. We'll actually be using those this weekend, so you'll be able to see some cool effects and whatnot with those. So that's more or less the basics. Only difference here is when you add in a moving head, so we will show you that. So we've got Freestyler open. As you can see, the light back there is red, as I mentioned before. So now we are going to turn the both light on, since we already set it to channel number 2, was it? Either way, we'll go into setup, add, remove fixtures. It is channel 2 in 10 channel mode. So we will go to the menu here and DMX address channel 1, 10 channel mode. And now it should respond. Dimmer, red. It does not, because we're on channel 1. It should be channel 2. And now, there we go. Now we're on channel 2, we got a DMX. So, as mentioned before, second channel, 3, 4, 5 are all colors. So first channel's red, second channel's green, blue, white, amber, and UV, as is the case with most. Next channel is strobe. I'm gonna put this on the ground so you can see it a little better. That is strobing. Put it right next to me. strobing for some reason. Should not be strobing at all. Should not be strobing at all right now. So in the manual, if you check, it actually shows that channel 9, 0 to 8 is light off, 9 to 50 is red light. I'm not sure what any of that means, but it should not be strobing. Let's top it off. That is odd. It should not be strobing at all right now. Strobe is at 0. So this is great because now we can troubleshoot. So if we go into, let's just turn it off and back on and see what happens. Will it go red? It's still blinking, which is very odd. Seems that the strobe value is getting caught on 10. Let's see, let's go back into our fixture profile. We'll quit out of this real quick. Go into our fixture profile. We will see what the issue is here. So if we go into both lighting, strobe off. There's a low strobe value in there of 10. It should be 0. So now that we've got that saved, export, it should fix it. So we're going to restart Freestyler. And that is why you should always check your fixture profiles. As you see, it stopped strobing. There we go. Perfect. Now it's fixed. So, back to where I was. That's channel, as I mentioned, channel 1 through 7 is all color mixing, 8 is strobe, 9 is a bunch of different things, 9 to 50 is red light, whatever that means. 51 to 100 is transition, so there you go. So it looks like, and then channel 10 is speed. So if we go, once you get to 80, oddly enough, it actually starts a slow, gradual fade. And it starts with blue just like my lights do. So as you can see right there, there's your slow, gradual fade. The 10 speed, obviously number 10 will go as fast as possible. Down to 0 will go as slow as possible, which is actually still pretty quick, which I don't really like, but that's okay. So that's, see when it changes, maybe when it's 100, no? Still on transition mode. And there's a gradient mode, I guess is what they call it. When you get to 120, it's a fade in and out, kind of like a pulse fading. So as you can see right there, pulse, pulse, pulse. Pretty standard. You go up to maybe 130. I'll let you know when it changes. Once you get to what looks like once you get to 160, it goes into sound active. So 160 is sound active, it looks like. 199 is also sound active. That's kind of cool. I think this is for sensitivity on sound active. Channel 10. No, it is not. Same response. That's kind of cool. It's a pulse and then it fades down. Kind of cool sound active. Let's see what others there are. That might be it. There's your strobe sound active. 232. Maybe change it to 230. That's pretty much it. That's the end of the line. So there's all your DMX controls. Does have some cool functionality. Mine do have a bit more on the program side, but as to be expected. This still will get you pretty much everything you need. So if you're looking for a pretty decent light show, it doesn't take a lot to DMX. Now the biggest thing is we're gonna get a second one and see if it will sync up in the sound active mode. So typically with DMX, obviously you have them set to the same channel or different channels. When you have the same values across the channels, the lights are gonna do the same thing. What gets tricky is if the lights have a sound active mode, are they going to respond in unison or separate? They typically always respond separately. I don't expect these to be any different, but we're gonna grab a second one and we're gonna check that out and inspect. So we got our second light right here. I'm gonna turn it on, as mentioned, with the power button. I'm gonna set it to DMX channel 2, 10 channel, should go red, just like that. And we'll put this over here. And now we'll put him in the sound active mode. Maybe. No. So, as you can see, or you might not be able to see, but they're different. So unfortunately, just like mine, in their sound active mode, that's not really meant for use this way in DMX, which you shouldn't be using sound active for DMX anyway. But as you can see, when we go back to the programs, they all sync up, do the same exact thing. If you want to see a crazy white strobe, I'll show you that here in a second. I always take out the UV when I do white strobes because I think it looks cooler. There you go, there's your white strobe. There's my white strobe. Which one's brighter? I don't know, you tell me. There's mine, there's the both light. There's mine, both light. Mine, both light. And that's two both lights. Let's take one off. Which one's brighter? You tell me. Either way, that is my review of the both lights. Overall opinion, they're great. Especially for you beginners out there. I wish uplights like this were around when I started DJing. These that I've had, I've been building since, I want to say 2018, maybe even earlier than that. They're still going strong. I've only ever had an issue with one of them, and my supplier was able to send me the part I needed for free, as is most of the case with Chinese lights and uplights especially, but you got to go with a good supplier. Either way, these are nice. I may get myself some more. Hopefully Rick Webb will send me more. I could do a really cool show with them and really explore and get into it more. So hopefully, and let me show you the max strobe on both of them so you can compare. This is max strobe rate right here on the both lights. Turn this one off. There's mine, both light, my light, both light, my light, both light. There's some more stuff that mine does, as mentioned before. Watch my videos, you'll see exactly what, well, you won't see exactly what each button does, but you'll be able to kind of tell and get a better idea. As I said, I like to play mine kind of like a piano. There's your color strobe, quick strobe right over there. There's different things here. Right, boom, 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 boom. Space bar, space, 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 space. Boom, 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 boom. UV and some other stuff as well. No sound active mode on mine. So that's pretty much it. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought. Part 2 of lighting with moving heads is coming up in just a second, so I'll do a screen capture on that, and you'll be able to see the other light that a supplier has sent me. So shout out to Rick Webb, go follow him, bothlightingusa.com. There will be a link down below for you to cop some of these yourself at a special discounted price. It helps me out greatly, so if you want these, go grab them. Like I said, I'm not going to be replacing my Uplights anytime soon, but when I do my yearly upgrades for lighting, which I'll probably do next year, maybe I'll look into more of these, and there may be another update coming, but either way, it's a nice little light. They're lightweight. I could definitely see these as a rental application, or even just if I don't want to run DMX, but still want a decent light show. As mentioned, all you have to do is have the remote close to the first one. The rest will sync up without needing the remote because they do have the DMX transmitters and receivers built in. So, pretty cool. That's my overall thought. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until we meet again, which will be shortly, there's a little insight into lighting and both lighting, so peace.